turn of Lee Glazer and Maya Fo that will present the Peacock Room Comes to America. And your presentation is here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Valeria and Nancy. It's great to be here sharing our Peacock Room app. For those of you who don't know, the Peacock Room is the only extant decorative interior by the expatriate American artist James McNeill Whistler. And it started its life as, started its life as a dining room in the London mansion of its original owner, Frederick Richards Leyland, where it was filled with Chinese blue and white porcelain. Later, in 1904, it was bought by the founder of the Freer Gallery of Art, the Detroit industrialist Charles Lang Freer, who transported it from London and reinstalled it in his mansion in Detroit, where he used it not as a dining room, but as a kind of aesthetic laboratory for his own collection of sort of iridescent, monochromatically glazed ceramics from all over Asia. In 2011, the museum reinstalled the Peacock Room to its appearance in Freer's Detroit home, re-identifying 254 ceramics still in our collection, installing them exactly as Freer had done, and hoping to get our visitors to the museum to look at the room in a new light and to see the room as Freer did. And I'm showing you now an image of the room as it appears today and has since 2011. In order to make the sort of complex stories and history of the room more accessible both to our real and virtual visitors, we partnered actually with some digital librarians from Wayne State University beginning in 2010 to create a website that provided several virtual tours of the room under different iterations with different kinds of ceramics. We also produced a print publication, a copy of which resides in the gallery for visitors to look at. One of the challenges of interpreting this room, and one of the reasons it seemed so well suited to one of the Freer's first mobile apps, is that it's very difficult to provide in-gallery interpretation. The room itself is the work of art, and you can't very well put a lot of text labels or really any labels at all in the room. The website was terrific for sort of virtual visitors or visitors to the room who then went home and wanted to dig deeper and know more, but we don't really have any kind of computer kiosks in the Freer at all, let alone in the Peacock Room. So we were very interested in developing something mobile that could first and foremost be used by visitors to the museum, real-life visitors in the gallery, that would allow them to explore the complex history and sort of dynamic stories associated with the room, but also just do things as basic as identify each and every ceramic, its date, its culture of origin, and so forth. So with that in mind, we embarked on the long and arduous and soul-crushing project of getting a contract for an outside developer and designer, in this case Arcade Sunshine Media, to develop this mobile app, which is now available for free on iTunes and also available on some loaner iPads in the Freer Gallery. And I'm going to let Maya Fu, who works with me in the American Art Department at the Freer, sort of take all of you through the various features of the app.
Good morning, everyone. So the evolution of the Peacock Room related digital projects continued after the Story of the Beautiful website, which Lee had mentioned, and continued in January of this year when we met with the app developer Arcade Sunshine Media to discuss the creation of an app for the Freer Gallery of Art's most iconic object. The app was published in June and is available to download for free in the iTunes store, and this is one of the first mobile apps produced by the Freer Sackler. And perhaps taking a cue from Charles Lang Freer himself, the Freer Sackler is obsessed with the aesthetic experience. That said, developing an app for the Peacock Room was the most obvious choice in enhancing the visitor's in-gallery experience. there was no possibility of putting a computer kiosk into the Peacock Room to allow visitors to explore the story of the beautiful website. And like having labels with every object, this would also disrupt the overall interpretation and visitor experience of the room. The Peacock Room Comes to America app allows visitors to dive deeply into the history of the Peacock Room through a detailed timeline, and they can explore each of the 254 pots, as well as the painting, the shutters, and the mural. Additionally, users can watch a video about the installation of the room, and they can curate a selection of pots on the sideboard and send themselves a postcard. This is an elegant way to teach the Peacock Room while providing users with an abundance of information. And after the opening screen, users will land on the Explore the Room, which you see here, page, which features a panorama of the room that is fully interactive and can be swiped horizontally to explore other walls in the room. Nearly everything can be selected for more information, and all objects have tombstone information. We selected 18 objects, including the shutters, the Princess from the Land of Porcelain, and the mural as highlighted objects. Each highlighted object has a short label, and some have an attached photo gallery for related images in the collection and in the archives. We reappropriated some of the audio from the acoustic guides that were available in the Peacock Room from a few years ago. And in this example, for the mural, users can listen to the Quarrelling Peacocks, featuring the voice of our British Museum Director, Julian Raby, as Frederick Leyland. And in other examples, the Chief Curator and Curator of Islamic Art, Masume Farhad, and the Curator of Ceramics, Louise Court, discuss Rockaware and Korean ceramics in the room. But moving back to the main panorama screen, users navigate to another section by selecting options on the bottom menu. Another feature on the app is the interactive timeline, which is organized chronologically by location in the Discover the History section. Here you can see a screenshot for London in 1870. Each thumbnail image can be selected for more tombstone information, and some images include a brief description. This is just another screenshot showing Detroit in 1892. One of my favorite parts, well, let me fast forward through this. Another part of the app is the postcard feature, which allows users to curate the sideboard in the Peacock Room. Users select pots on the bottom bar and drag pots to the sideboard, which can hold up to 6 objects. And since there's so many people who loved the blue and white installation of Kangxi porcelain in the room, we've given users the option to select those objects as well. And it is really our hope that visitors to the Freer will download this app at home on their iPhones and iPads and bring these devices with them into the Peacock Room. The app is really a seamless solution to the problems mentioned earlier in giving the room its due diligence in telling its history. iPads are available in the Freer for visitors to check out for free, and we've been distributing iPads since September. Visitors, docents, and friends of the museum have responded enthusiastically to having this technology available. And Lee and I have also given a few demos of the app in the room on the 3rd Thursday of the month when the shutters are open in the room and when there's a large crowd. This program has been temporarily put on hiatus because of a recent installation in the room that contains light-sensitive objects. But many older visitors are inquisitive and initially hesitant to check out and use the iPad, usually for the first time. But once they see other people in the room using the technology, they often run to our front desk and check out an iPad immediately. And we're currently gathering data on the usage of the devices by looking at the check-in and check-out times on the iPad log that's kept by our visitor services desk volunteers. And it seems as though visitors are checking out iPads for at least 30 minutes during their visit. Docents have also reported that it's easier to direct the attention of school groups with the app, and questions regarding the age and origin of the pots in the room can be answered immediately with this app as well. So the docents seem to like having the opportunity to use the app.
So just sort of by way of concluding remarks, we are really happy with the look and feel and functionality of this app. It really, although it took a lot of drafts to get there, it is beautiful and elegant, very easy to use. But there still are a lot of challenges that we feel we're working through, and hope that we can maybe use forums like this one to work through together to more fully implement mobile technology within the museum. First and foremost, I would say the biggest challenge, the biggest initial challenge at least, was that of contracting. And until we can do these kinds of projects in-house, we're sort of stuck with the cumbersome contracting process. And for us, it took 7 months to get a contract. And that was, from what I hear, pretty quick and seamless, but it was actually pretty awful going through it. And then beyond just sort of the cumbersome nature of SI contracting is just some of the hurdles and challenges that we face when we do work for hire with outside consultants. The website that we had developed prior and from which we drew for most of our content, that was a research collaboration. And as such, it didn't cost us very much money, and our partners at Wayne State University, who we collaborated with, were very creative and sort of understood everything that we were trying to do as a challenge to be met, rather than just a deliverable to be handed off and invoiced. And while our developers were great and were very amenable to sort of working with our almost psychotic obsession with elegant design, they had a very different attitude toward the work than colleagues at academic institutions had done, and certainly were not able to provide the level of support in terms of editing, design, and so forth that we are used to getting when we work collaboratively with our designers and editors and so forth at the museum. Another challenge that we've been working hard to address is that of marketing and distribution. Our museum had no public Wi-Fi available when we got started on this, and this app cost a lot of money, and we were determined that people would be able to use it, not just people who had downloaded it onto their own devices, but visitors discovering the app for the first time when they walked through the door. So we were able, with Nancy's help, to get 2 Wi-Fi hotspots in the foyer, one in the Peacock Room, one at the main entrance. Then there was the hurdle of paying for the devices and getting an internal policy approved to take visitor IDs in exchange for a loaner iPad. It was very difficult, but we persevered and were able to begin distributing the devices in September. We've marketed them through demos that Maya had mentioned in the room, through social media, through listservs and so forth. I have to say that I'm a little disappointed and want to work harder at getting the word out more broadly about the availability of this app. As of last week, we had about 2,100 downloads from the iTunes store. And in-gallery usage is really not as robust as we would like it to be. We have signage, but because it's such a new kind of thing for the Freer, I think that our volunteers at the visitor desk are just not, engaged fully in directing visitors' attention to it. Visitors don't necessarily come into the Freer expecting to find such products. Ours is the only one that's available. So we're thinking about ways that we can maybe do more in-gallery demos, really encourage docents and maybe interns to sort of go in the room and use the iPad, because when visitors see one person using it, other people tend to get very interested. So all of that said, to end on a positive note, one of the most revealing statistics in terms of the downloads is the number of virtual visitors from all over the world who have downloaded this app. China is our number 2 downloader after the US. It's been downloaded in more than 55 countries. And so there's clearly a desire for this kind of content, and it's just thinking about how to make people aware of this resource for their own use, for use in the classroom, and so forth. So I hope that this meeting will help us work through some of those issues. Thank you.